Hello everyone, and thank you very much for taking the time to attend today's webinar on how to speed up IBMI application development and reduce maintenance with new Fresche View. My name is Marcel Serzin. I'll be one of the presenters today. I'm the VP of Corporate Marketing and Business Development here at Fresche. I started in the IBMI space over 15 years ago with BCD Software. Started off in technical support, became a product trainer, and then moved on to product marketing management and into the position I am currently in today. Joining us today as our live demonstration presenter is Ray Everhart, a senior IBMI analyst and also the X-Analysis product manager here at Fresche. Ray has spent years helping IBMI companies by assessing their RPG, COBOL, and sign-on applications and processes to improve business outcomes. As product manager for X-Analysis here at Fresche, he works closely with IBMI customers to understand their business goals and technical needs in order to drive innovation within the product suite. So for those of you that are not familiar with Fresche, we've been in the IBMI market space for over 40 years. That's including all of our companies you see below. We've grown a lot in the last year with the acquisition of Quadrant, BCD Software, and previous to that, Look Software. We have thousands and thousands of customers, 250 employees, and we're completely focused on application management and modernization on IBMI. Today we're going to be looking at the analysis and productivity solutions that we have. We also have offerings on many more areas such as GUI, web, and mobile, lots of services from application staffing, code and database modernization, IT strategy and report and document distribution. So today we are focusing on analysis and productivity. This is a 30-minute webinar, and then we'll have a time for Q&A. I'm going to start off by just going over a few of the things that we're seeing in the IBMI market that led us to come up with Fresche View. I'll then explain what Fresche View is, some of the key features and benefits of it. I'll then pass it to Ray for about a 15-minute live demonstration so you can see it in action. This webinar is being recorded, and you'll get a link to it over the next couple of days. So some of the things that we've been really seeing in the market space is two of the main challenges that IBMI shops have. One is onboarding new developers. There are a lot of IBMI developers close to retirement or starting to retire. A lot of companies struggle when they hire somebody new. A new developer, whether it's a young developer out of college, or maybe you're outsourcing it to an experienced developer, for them to come into your shop, and if they're lucky, you might have some kind of documentation to hand them to start understanding the system. And in most cases, though, that might be 10 years old, and it might be completely useless. So how can a new employee get up to speed quickly without relying on all the people around them, the IT managers, the other developers that are there? Very, very time-consuming. The other part of this is how long would it take them to be comfortable with the entire system, to get a good understanding of it, to actually be able to start making changes, from small changes, whether it's to display files or database files or to programs themselves. And the thing that they're probably most worried about is they don't want to be the person that brings the system down. And this picture resonates, I think, with a lot of people where when you're making a change to anything, again, whether it's your database files, your programs, how confident are you that you're not going to break something? And how much does that slow you down? Either you do break things, or maybe you start over-testing. So what we're seeing, of course, is IBMI shops are always thinly staffed. Nobody has the luxury of having extra developers. They need tools to be able to code RPG and COBOL fast. If you don't know what the impact of your changes are, it's going to really, really slow you down. That's why we came up with Fresche View, which is powered by X-Analysis. Fresche View is our automated IBMI application discovery and understanding solution. So what Fresche View gives you is an in-depth understanding of your applications and of your data and how data flows through your system. It's going to help you better maintain and enhance your RPG and COBOL applications. It's going to help you onboard new developers faster. The other part of development, of course, when you're speeding up development, that could be new development. A lot of the times, though, especially in the IBMI space, it's all about reducing maintenance costs. How do you make enhancements fast? How do you solve problems that people report quickly? How do you reduce your technical debt? or your IT backlog. And then when you're onboarding new developers, by handing them up-to-date graphical information, they can learn the system very, very quickly. And by being able to see detailed impact analysis, they can start making changes with confidence. So the key features within Fresh View are the graphical documentation. So this is within RDI, as Ray's going to show you in a little bit, but this is everything from seeing your database files, seeing how your programs flow, which programs call the other programs. You can navigate this however you want, such as clicking and drilling up and drilling down, starting at the database file or at the program, going to look at what parameters get called from one program to the other, drilling all the way down to that. The other big feature is the impact analysis. When you go to make a change, whether it's to a display file, a database file field, how confident are you right now that you would know all the impacts for that? In many cases, people just look at a level 1 type of impact where this is the field I'm changing, for example. Maybe you're making an account number bigger. Maybe you're adding fields. Maybe you're deleting fields. Maybe you're changing program logic. But how confident are you in finding that information? And if one variable goes into another variable, how do you track that one all the way down? And what Ray's going to show you today is how you can get that information within seconds at your fingertips. So you might think it's in 30 places that you're going to have to go change the source code for, where in reality it might be over 100. You might not have a good way of knowing that information. Because what these features really help you do is save a lot of time. And then it will also extract the data model for you automatically. And that's the other thing about this, the graphical documentation, that's automatic. The impact analysis is almost instant. By extracting the relational data model, you'll see relationships between your files that you might not be aware of. You'll know if you're updating, somebody's responsible for updating an order, where other files might be affected by this. And this is done automatic, extracting it not just from the database objects, but from the DDS and the source of your actual RPG and COBOL programs. So as you saw earlier in the previous slide, Fresh View is powered by X-Analysis. So what we've done with Fresh View is we've looked at what the market needs. And we said, we've got this excellent product called X-Analysis. It's been out for 25 years, used by thousands of developers. It's a whole suite of tools that help you better understand, maintain, and enhance applications. It's been used over billions of lines of IBMI code. So what Fresh View is, it's a subset of X-Analysis. We looked at the market and said, every shop should have a base solution, a minimum solution to help them with their development, their maintenance, and when they're hiring developers. They need an entry point. Now there are other entry-level impact analysis tools and some documentation tools as well, but nothing out there offers what we're offering in Fresh View. It's much more feature-rich. Again, graphical documentation, complete impact analysis, tracing the variables all the way down to their deepest levels. And it's all graphical within RDI. And there's really no other tools out there that do that and extract the data model for you at the same time. We continually invest in the whole X-Analysis suite, including Fresh View. So looking at some of the benefits of Fresh View, you get faster project completion. Once you know and understand your system, you can make informed decisions. You're speeding up not just development, but maintenance of applications as well. And this also helps you estimate projects more accurately. You'll know the impact, but you'll also be able to help your quality assurance team. Saying, what do I need to test? What applications are affected here? How do you enter into those applications? And when you're onboarding new developers, you're doing this faster again. You're giving them a complete data model so they can understand that. You're allowing them to explore how they want. They can go from anywhere to anywhere with drills up, drill down. And if you're hiring somebody new, the amount of time that they spend asking you questions or asking the manager questions or the developers, you're allowing them to work autonomously now with Fresh View. So some of the features in Fresh View have been used by lots and lots of customers. And this is just an average developer productivity chart here. But what we find when people have Fresh View and using these features, often they're thinking, I got a big project, an enhancement I want to make. But the reality is they really start to use it in their day-to-day development, whether it's just simple application maintenance or doing enhancements. And even when they're just in maintenance type mode, they find that they use it 50% of their day. When you look at application knowledge capture, you're capturing 100% of the knowledge of the system, of documenting that system. And what we found is the average IBMI shop only maybe has 40% of it currently documented. Somebody retires, somebody leaves, a lot of that knowledge goes out the door with them. And when we look at how they did impact analysis before, they've seen on average 40% improvements on finding all of the information. And some of those things that they find can have major impacts and longer term negative repercussions if they don't find them ahead of time before going into production. Because when you're going to production, you want to have all that confidence and have it right, have high quality code. And that's what FreshView does for you. The other thing is a lot of shops, when they use the features of FreshView, they do it themselves. The majority of our customers will use it themselves. However, there are also a lot of shops that might have one developer. Maybe they don't have any more developers. So we also have a services department, and that's where we've gained a lot of our own experience, a lot of our own statistics, because we have to onboard our own staff to help learn their applications. And that's what we did with JF Fabrics. COBOL RPG shop, no existing documentation. What's interesting here is they, prior to FreshView, they had hired somebody, and after 6 months, the understanding of the system and how quickly you can make changes was nowhere near the level that they wanted. Where we came in, and the advantage of our services team is using our solutions FreshView, they can get that application knowledge 100%. And what we found with the statistics on average is, again, it's 60% efficiency, better efficiency on onboarding new resources. So I'm going to do a first polling question of the day here. And the question is, which of these challenges do you face? Do you have a lack of documentation? Does it take you too long to ramp up new IT staff? Is it a big effort to maintain applications? Is the impact of code changes uncertain? Or maybe you have other reasons. So that poll is open now. You can select as many answers as you want on it. And 1 second here, I forgot to launch the poll. So you're probably wondering where those answers are. So here's the polling question here. Again, we'd appreciate if you could answer these questions. Again, which of these challenges do you face? A lack of documentation, too long to ramp up new IT staff, big effort to maintain applications, and the impact of code changes is uncertain. All right, we've had a lot of people vote here. I'll close it up in a few seconds. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share the results with everybody. 87% lack of documentation. That's a very, very high number. And then uncertainty of impact of code changes. Those are really two of the key things. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pass it to Ray, who's going to do the live demonstration. And a few things to keep in mind. Ray, I'm going to make you the presenter here. And while Ray's doing his demonstration, a few things to keep in mind is always ask yourself, when Ray's showing you the stuff, how accurate would your impact analysis be without these tools? How long would it take you to do that type of analysis without a tool? And how long would it take a new developer who's not familiar with their system to make these types of changes? So Ray, whenever you're ready, go ahead and share your screen. I can see it perfectly.
Okay, great. Thanks, Marcel. So one of the first things that a developer needs to understand is the relationship between the tables in your system, between the different files and where the data is located. Unfortunately, the way that you normally have to gain that understanding is that you go program by program, or maybe a particular group of programs, and look through the source code and try to find out how information is related from one table to the other table. With X-Analysis, as the core here, FreshView gives you the ability to extract the data model from your applications, even if that data model doesn't exist within the database, because most older RPG programs don't have the relationships between tables defined within the database. It's all defined within the program. So what FreshView does is it goes ahead and extracts all of that information the same way that you would do it. You go program by program, look for the relationships between tables. Information from one table is used to access another table. So here we have a data model diagram that was generated over this small application. It shows 27 different objects and all of their relationships. You notice that all of these different lines that go between objects, if you hover over them, it shows you that the field that's used to relate the tables is called debtor. Now, you wouldn't look at your entire data model at once. You would want to go in and say, I want to look at a particular subset of my application. I want to understand just how a group of tables are related together. So by clicking on the cust S table, now I can see all of the files that are directly related, and I can see the relationships between each and every one of them. I also have this as a list view, so I can see what fields are used to go between those tables. So imagine how long it would take you to go through all of the programs in your system and find out every place where information from one table is used to chain out to another table. And I was able to display it in just a matter of seconds. So now that I have this, this particular table here in the center, I can see all of the things around it that are related to this table. And by starting with this data perspective, I can quickly get an understanding of how the objects are related. But if I want to drill down in specifically to this table, I could say, show me what the file field details are regarding this table. So now I'm going to drill down into the field level, and I'm going to look at all of the different attributes about this particular column. We have the system name of the column, plus we can also have a long name, and then we have all of the attributes about it. So let's say, for instance, this particular field. This field is called XWBNCD, and this is a field that it's a customer group field. It's only 2 characters long, and if I'm trying to have an understanding of what is it going to take for me to change that from, say, 2 to 4 positions, so I need to find out where this field is used. So by right-clicking on it, I can say, show me every place this is used, and I'm going to say, show me all of the references. So now we're going through the metadata repository. This information is collected and stored on the IBMI in DB2 tables, and so that makes it very quick for us to go through. We found 69 different objects, or I'm sorry, 69 different lines of code. Here's all the different programs. 69 different places where this was used. So I can see very easily. We also do color coding on everything, so that helps you to kind of, over time, once you learn the color scheme, it lets you identify quickly what kind of things are going on. So you see the ones in black are file I/O operations, the ones in blue are evaluation statements, something that you're going to do to assign a value to that field. And I can go down through and I can see all of these different places. Here I have some DDS where that field is described. I've got, this would be some SQL, oh that's a query, sorry. And then down here we have some COBOL. So all of the different places where these fields are used are right here at your fingertips. Now let's think a minute about the example I just gave. I want to change this field. Well, if I'm going to make this 4 positions long, chances are this field right here is 2 positions long. So this one I also need to think about. So this 69 lines of code is not enough to fully make this change. I need to understand where this field is used as well. So not only do I need to know about XWBNCD, but I need to know every place where that field is copied into as well. So what we do, this is a level 1 search, and it shows me just the first level references, the first of that field. Level 2 would include SWBNCD. Level 3 would be any place where that field was copied into. If I want to see where information is passed as a parameter, well, I need to know the receiving program of that parameter, because that needs to be considered as well. I can even track parameters as they get passed, and this is not by field name. This is because we recognize that an assignment was made between 2 different fields. I'm going to go ahead and just switch to maximum tracking here. So what you would have to do normally is would do a search for the file field column. Then you would have to go through, find all the places that gets copied into, and then do searches on each and every one of those until you amassed your list. So I have 123 different lines of code here that I was able to quickly identify as all the potential places of impact. So this makes it very easy for me to fully understand the size of a change and what's going to have to be done to accomplish a change. Now, at any point along the way, if I see something here that I say, oh, what is this line of code right here, I can just go ahead and double click on this, and it will allow me to drill down into the detail of the actual source code. So now we'll display the source code at the line that I clicked on. Let me make this window a little bit bigger here. So right here is where that's used. This is defined as the entry level into this particular program. So it's very easy for me to navigate. I started with the data model. I drilled down into the fields. I did a where used search, and then I could actually drill down into the source code. So what's unique about Fresche View is it allows you to discover your application and gain that understanding that normally only comes with months and months or maybe years of working with the application. I can start back here within my data model, and I can drill down into whatever I need to know. So the other thing I can do from this particular view is I can say, I want to know what programs or how the data flows through the system. So if I use this as a focus and I switch to a data flow diagram, what I will see is every place where information from one table moves into this cust table. So here are all of the programs, the input programs that used cust. There's 25 of them. They're all detailed over here. Let me make this window a little larger. Here I see all of the programs that use this table for input and update. I can see all my access paths over here. And then I can see other programs here that might use it for just output. So I can get a bird's eye view of everything that's going on with this particular table. And I can see all the different places where it's used and how it's used. So I can see the data as it flows in and out of this table. So as I'm looking down through this, if I say, well, I want to see a particular program that catches my eye here, I'm going to look at this particular program right here. This is a Work with Customers screen. If I double click on it, it will allow me to change my focus from the file being the center to that program. So now I can see all of the files that are used for input. I can see all the programs that I call. There are 8 programs over here that they get called from this program. And then I can see anything that I use for input update. If I'm curious about what information I'm getting from these files, I can see that I'm getting a description and a code field from this table. I'm getting the customer group, and so these are the fields that are actually used within this program. That's a real time saver when you're trying to understand where the information is coming from and what's being done with it. So let's just say that I want to drill down a little further. I want to follow this down the call stack, and I say, okay, here's a salesperson selection screen that I want to navigate down to. I can click on it, and now it becomes the center. So it's just that easy. But I can also see the salesperson now. I can see the 15 other places that gets called. So these are all of the other programs that call it. Now let's just say that I want to go back here to my data model, and I want to see where this particular file is used. I can also get a list. So I want to know every place that table is used. I have 68 different places where that's used. Here it's used as a logical file. I have it used as a reference to a display file here. All of the information I need is readily available so I can understand the impact. But let's go back to this screen for just a second, and I'm going to navigate back to where we just were. Yeah, let's go back one more. And if I'm drilling down into this, and we did the data flow diagram, and with this as the center, let's just say that I want to see a higher level view of this particular application. Instead of showing it at the data flow diagram, I can show a hierarchical structure chart. So the hierarchical structure chart will show me the entire job stream for that particular program. Here's where it starts. Now remember that other display showed me there were 8 programs that were called. So here they are. They're at the first level. But what about the programs that they call? That's down here at the second level. This allows me, let me show you the thumbnail here just so you can get an overall view here. This shows me the complexity of the program and how deep the logic actually goes. So if I know that I'm starting with the work with customers screen and I navigate to a particular salesman function, I can easily find where that salesman function is by browsing at the high level and then drilling down in. So let's just say that I need to make a change to this program right here. So this happens to be 3 levels down, and I want to know what the impact of changing this is going to be. I can say, show me where this object is used, but instead of showing all the references, I'm going to say, show me the entry-level references. So the entry-level references refer to what program do I have to start with to navigate to that program. So when you're trying to develop your test plans and you want to know what does it look like, how many programs do I have to start with and exercise to get to the program that I need to change, it's very easy to tell that. All I do is I select entry-level references. So here I have 12 programs that somewhere in the call stack use that salesman reference program that I need to change. Imagine how long it would take you to find all of those. What you would have to do is go and look at the source code for the salesman program and then try to figure out all the places that call it and then do another search for all of the places that those other programs get called until you could get out to that entry-level program. So this makes it very quick and very easy to find out the scope of what needs to be tested, or even the scope of what's going to be impacted from a functionality standpoint. So all of that is just by drilling down into the detail or zooming back out as you're trying to discover and understand this application. So while I'm in the application, and if there's something that I'm interested in, if there's something that I'm curious about, it makes it very easy to even show things like this, what do the screens look like for this particular program. So here are the screens that are assigned to that program or that program uses. It presents them for you, but it goes one step further and it tells you where the fields are and what file they came from and how they're being used. So if what I know from a change requisition is, let's say that there's a particular field on this screen that they've asked me to change, I can start with the screen and then find out where that data came from. So I can start my navigation at whatever I know and then discover what it is that I need to know to make the change. So it's that simple to drill around and discover what's going on in the application. So let's go and look again at the source. I'm going to zoom in here, and now we're going to look at a very detailed level. Because so far what we've seen is we can expose the relationships between the data objects, we can expose the relationships between the program objects, we can do a where used impact analysis and see how fields are related. But if you're going to get into this level of detail, how can Fresche View help me? So here we have some older style code. This is the fixed format type of code that is prevalent in many shops and might not be easily understood or readable by some folks. We can switch this to a pseudocode view. Now, I've even found the pseudocode view helpful to reduce clutter in a program. So if I'm accustomed to looking at RPG, sometimes you forget to look in a column or you forget something that might be out, on the right side of your screen. Switching to pseudocode allows me to not be so familiar with what I'm seeing and actually concentrate on what it's telling me. So here it tells me if indicator 3 is equal to a 1, then this is the block of logic that's going to be executed. This could be read by anyone. A business analyst could read this, someone who's trying to do some testing. Okay, I can identify all the different test cases that I might need to create to satisfy these conditions, but it's very easy to move in and out of that pseudocode mode. And once again, while I'm in this program, I can show the screens if I want to do that. If I want to look within the program, say for instance this particular field here, I can say, show me where it's used, not in the entire system, but show me where it's used within this particular source member. So now I have my complete list. Okay, I can see that that field is being used in these tables. I can see that it's used in all of these statements. And if I want to go to any particular one of them, I just double click on it and it positions me right to that line of code. So it allows me to very quickly discover how that field is being used. I can see if it's being updated. I can see if it's being moved to something else. And I can easily discover what's going on at a program level. So if I have a particularly complex program, I can also select the enhanced cross-reference. And the enhanced cross-reference will show it to me in context of the individual subroutines within the code. So now I can see where it's happening. Okay. So I can start, and even when I'm within here, so here's a program. If I want to know what about this program, I can say, show me the data flow diagram from within that program. And so now I'll jump back out to that program and work with it. So there's lots of different ways that I can leverage this. Fresh View will also integrate into RDI, into the code editor, the LPEX editor. So right now I'm in browse only mode, but if I wanted to, I could switch to the LPEX editor. And it looks like I just lost my connection. Give me just a second to reconnect. So what that means is that I don't have to switch views to do my impact analysis. I can be within RDI doing my changes. I see a field on the screen that I need additional information about. I can right-click within RDI and display our context menu and then go out and do some additional analysis on the fly. Because every time you switch your screen, every time you switch between applications, you lose your train of thought, you lose your productivity. Fresh View is going to keep you from having to navigate between a lot of different programs and different screens. Okay, so now I've reconnected. It'll take just a second here for it to remember what it was doing. Okay, so while we're waiting for that, does anybody have any questions at this point of what I've shown you so far?
Okay, Ray, so I think I'm going to just, while it's trying to connect again, I'm just going to share it back to my screen here, and we'll open up the question and answer period. So it's a good time for people to start typing out some questions. Thank you, Ray, for a great demonstration of Fresh View. I think what people, the big takeaway here is how much time this is going to save people. And as we mentioned earlier, Fresh View is part of the X-Analysis family, and what you saw today is how you get a deep understanding of your applications. It is an entry-level type of solution that has, again, a lot of features. The rest of the X-Analysis suite also offers you much more. After you have that understanding, after you have that documentation, there's other things you might want to do. And that's where the rest of the X-Analysis suite comes into play, such as your business rule externalization, extracting those business rules. Maybe you're looking at problem analysis metrics for management. Maybe you want to see where's the missing source, where's the complexity. You might also want to have start re-engineering your database files. You might be considering RPG or sign-on to Java transformation. You might want to be looking at how do you compare different versions of your application, whether it's a packaged app or a homegrown. When you have a new version, you want to compare them and do an analysis on what's changed. You can do that as well. So if you have any questions about anything you saw today, we'll have the phone number up in a second, and we'd love it if you joined the list of our clients that are all around the world. We have partners in many different countries here to serve you. So here's our contact information. We've got the question period open here. Is this priced per developer on there? No, it is not priced per developer. No, we have a really attractive price point for Fresh View. If you'd like some more pricing information, just please let us know. We'll definitely be happy to contact you after the webinar about that. A couple other questions here, Ray. Does it support CL and SQL? I know we talked a lot about RPG and COBOL here. Ray, if you want to answer that one.
Yes, I'm sorry, I had muted myself. Yes, it does process CL. It processes OCL. It will also discover internally described files. It will also process SQL statements.
Great. Ray, I'm not sure if you're able to see the questions yourself there.
Yes, I can see them.
Okay, if you want to just grab and pick any ones that you see that kind of got your attention there.
Okay, let me scroll and make this a little larger. Okay, here's a long one. Let me get back with you on that one, Garrett, in just a minute. Does it work with RPG free? Yes, it does. And let me go back now to Garrett's question. Do you allow for custom program call opcodes? For instance, we have a command to submit jobs. We would need to capture those. We also use a third-party software, SQL, that has its own program calls. Will those be captured? Yes, we do support SQL. We can extract what objects SQL is using within its usage of the table. So we have full support for that. And any program calls, any programs that you write would also be captured and tracked. So they would show up in the impact analysis as well. Okay, and then the other question talks about renaming fields and overlapped fields, pointers. Let's see. Yes, we do handle all of those different ways that the data moves through. That doesn't mean you can't do something that would confuse the tool. There have been a number of times when people have done things that make it kind of difficult. For instance, if I have a field in my program called work 15 for a 15-character field, and I copy data into it, and I have 40 other programs that are copying data into that same named field, work 15, but it's all different types of data. I will show you every place it's used, but you may have to weed out the ones you're not really interested in. So yes, there are some things you can do that would make it hard, but we will tell you about them. You'll just have to decide if they're relevant or not.
Perfect. Great, Ray. So we want to have this as a 30-minute webinar followed by 10 minutes of questions and answers. So we're hitting that 40-minute mark, which we're trying to keep this to. So anything we didn't get around to answering, we'll definitely follow up after the webinar. We'll also be sending you a survey as well to see what you thought of the webinar. And again, here's our contact information if you want to learn more or if you want to schedule a demo on how Fresh View is going to really save you time with all the great features that Ray showed you today. And this really comes down to, having the confidence to move forward, be able to meet user requests to help your organization. And that's going to be the key to the IBMI platform is your company has to have confidence in it, confidence in the team that's going to be able to deliver what the business needs. And this really helps you do that. Great. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending, and thank you very much, Ray, for a great technical demonstration.